Alright, so here is technically the second part of this video. We're going to start tearing this thing apart just to have a better look at everything inside. So what we're going to do is just take this thing apart, and in order to do that, there is a few pieces of hardware we're going to have to remove. And you have 3 screws up here that hold that part of the body together, as well as 4 for the starter recoil. So we'll take these out. That was easy enough, so we'll set that aside first. Now I did already drain all the fuel out. And very carefully, I'm going to pull this beauty cover off. You guys can see that. We'll just throw that aside for now. And now we have access to a lot more of the inner workings. The trigger, the linkage that goes to the carburetor, but we're not worried about any of that. What we need to figure out is, of course, why we're losing compression. So we'll pull the guard off. So we'll just undo that. And then a little bit of a hack, if you could even call it that, is to just thread that back in so you don't lose it. I'm going to pull off that piece there. And now we're going to pull the rest of the motor out. And we're also going to have to remove the impeller from the other side, which is pretty simple. In order to do that, just do that. There we go. There's our nut. Let's see if this thing will cooperate. It feels pretty loose, so we should be able to get it out. Undo the carburetor too. So I decided to undo all the hardware on the outer part of the case here. If we can get this thing open. Alright, set that aside. Now we have better access to everything here. And we still have a few screws that need to come out. So of course this all had to come off anyways. Now we just have to pull these 3 screws out. And that part is done. So now this whole engine should come right out just like that. And just so I don't lose anything, I'm going to throw these screws back in. Alright, so now the next fun part, we have to pull the flywheel off, which is fairly simple, hopefully. There's the nut. And of course, in order to remove this, just get a punch. And there you go. There's your little flywheel. Now we just have to remove this shroud. So we got to take these back out. That's all there is to that. So now we have access, finally, to the bottom 4 bolts. We're just loosening them up. Then we're going to have to undo these as well. Which, interestingly, those aren't even in there all that tight. So now we should be able to separate the cylinder from the lower part of the block. Ooh. Yeah, there's some evidence of damage going on. Plenty of carbon buildup. It's definitely some wear. I would say the ring itself looks to be a bit worn. However, there is a way to check that. It definitely looks like there's a significant amount of wear in there. Unfortunately, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean this up. We're going to have another look too. Now what I think happened is, obviously you guys can see all the dirt, but when I first got this machine it was in pieces. And I'm going to show you guys something. So here's the carburetor. And if the throttle plate still has it all on it, there was a ton of dirt on the choke. What I think happened, and as obviously you guys can see all the dirt that's inside this thing, is this machine may have been run without the air filter on it for some time. I don't know how long. It's also wholly possible that it just wasn't, it was never changed, or not changed in time, because you can kind of see that dirt has been leaking past it. So it might not have been making the best seal. This might be the original one from when it was bought brand new. And this is a 5-year-old blower, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. But the serial number says 2014. So it's possible that there was a ton of dirt leaking past the air filter, even though it was in place. And given the track record of these blowers, it just, to me, they're just not really all that well made. Seems a lot of people have issues with them, and this might be what causes them to just die an early death. And of course, when you don't have a working air filter, and two-stroke especially, it's going to suck all that dirt and grit inside the cylinder, wear the cylinder out as it's done, and wear the rings out. Unfortunately, buying all these pieces brand new from a dealer or otherwise is, you're spending well more than what the machine's actually worth. But I'm not going to leave you guys without a video, because I did find online a website that sells store returns, and I found an entire blower, refurbished condition, but doesn't work for whatever reason, for 60 bucks. So maybe, just maybe, we can get a solid end of this video for you guys in the next part. But I wanted to get you guys this video just to show you. It's always important to make sure your machines and equipment are properly maintained, especially if you spend $200 on a blower. Granted, this thing lasted 5 years before it took a shit. Could have lasted a little bit longer had it been maintained as per the manufacturer's specifications. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we got some closure for this machine, but unfortunately, in its current state, it's not really worth pursuing any further. This cylinder itself, on the sites that I've been able to find it, is about 50-60 bucks, plus the piston and the ring kit, which is about another 30. So we're already approaching 100 bucks just on the cylinder and the piston set. So it's probably not worth it, but there is a few other things I'd have to replace on that, including all the hoses and fuel lines. I know the carburetor needs to be tuned at the bare minimum. Provided that store return that I ordered is in good enough condition and I can get it working, maybe even with parts off of this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and definitely stay tuned for more. You all stay classy.